Hi, cities. How are you doing? Welcome to Sim. Hope you are great. Why everybody was busy talking about how bad the government has become and the government shutdown that has lasted for a while and how some churches are not helping. The head of this administration decided to forgive or forgave full pardon, gave full pardon to 77 of his closet allies that tried to overturn 2020 election. I didn't know what to say. Somebody was like, "Oh, if you were me and all that, what do you expect that your friend wasn't going to pardon you when he has all the power to pardon you?" People that tried to overturn the election. See, I really do not want to hear from white people that this is not what I voted for, or I am pissed. Like being pissed cannot help this, or this is actually what you voted for, because when you said that you are going to vote for this administration, you know fully well what was going to happen. And the fact that, man, I really don't know, but I think we should expect more pardons. Yeah, Maxwell might actually end up being pardoned. Jocelyn, sincerely speaking, I am not sure what to say at this point, but I am not surprised. Let's get into this video.
Here's some more fucked up news, because that's all I got right now. Donald Trump pardoned 70 people last night. Yes, 70 of his closest little buddies got pardons last night, including Rudy Giuliani. Now, these are all the allies that were accused of trying to overturn the 2020 election. Now, some of those people also included Sidney Powell. Y'all remember her. Trump's former chief of staff, Mark Meadows. Now, those names also included people in states that were trying to help overturn the election, which included Georgia, Michigan, and fucking Arizona, which were all swing states during 2020 election. Now, more people on that list included this man, John Eastman. He was the lawyer that proposed strategies to prevent the certification of the 2020 election so Joe Biden couldn't get in. And Trump's advisor, Boris Epstein. He also pardoned Republicans who played fake electors in the 2020 election. Now, baby, there are more people on this list, but here's the kicker. Ghislaine Maxwell is in a new facility, and she's getting ready to put her papers out to be pardoned as well. And she said people are serving her, and she is living really fucking nice. Now, the reason I feel like he's pardoning all these people in the dead of night is because he knows in the 2026 election, he has no fucking chance. And he's trying to save everybody he can before shit gets hot and we take the House back. Hell, at this point, I want the fucking Senate too. This man is dirty as fuck. But I'm not surprised.
So Trump just pardoned a whole bunch of his homeboys. I'm talking about over 70 people for breaking the law. The same law that justifies black folks for being exterminated because you would be alive if you would have complied. The party of law and order overnight allowed for their president to pardon a whole bunch of individuals that decided not to abide by the law. They'd be like, "You guys worried about ICE? I got advice for you. Just follow the law." And then they don't turn a blind eye to their president pardoning over 70 people for breaking the law. They have a selective moral outrage when it comes to legality, and it's always illustrated when it comes to what their president of the United States is able to do. The person that got all them goddamn felonies is supposed to be upholding the law, but is always able to skirt around it. Black folks is always buried under the law, and a bunch of white folks are always able to transcend over it. Crazy how that works in America, right? Technically speaking, Donald Trump has been surrounded by crime ever since he's ascended to the presidency. Going back to 2016, all the way to now, we understand that anybody he's putting himself around is always already involved in criminal activity. And that's for thug culture. Education is elevation.
So Trump pardoned about 70 of his friends who tried to overturn the 2020 election. He pardoned all of them last night, including Rudy Giuliani. He pardoned them. And my question is, if y'all didn't do nothing wrong and y'all was oh so right, why you gotta pardon your people? If y'all didn't do nothing wrong, why you pardoning them? What are they gonna need a pardon from if they did nothing wrong? Inquiring minds would like to know. Because obviously you know what you did was wrong. So now you're trying to cover your tracks so your friends that had your back and that was riding for you, so they won't have to, get in trouble for you. Which is crazy, because why y'all do it in the first place if y'all knew it was wrong? And I know y'all like, Maya, you normally sitting down at your desk. Why you standing up? First of all, I got better light. And second of all, I made these jeans and I really want y'all to see them. Y'all see them? These are my... I'll talk about them later because this post's not about that. This man pardoned all of his friends. Part of me can't even be mad because if I was the big P, I'd pardon my guys too. I'd pardon my guys. I would. Who wouldn't? If you think about it, would you pardon your friends? Because I sure will pardon mine. However, he keep putting his friends in these messed up situations to have to pardon them. That shows that he's not a good friend, because a real friend not going to keep putting you in effed up situations just to be the one to bail you out. What we talked about last week, it's like superhero complex or some shit like that, right? And then Maxwell, whatever her name is, with the Epstein file, she in jail living like a queen. They waiting on her hand and foot. I'm out here in regular life, ain't nobody waiting on me hand and foot. You know what? Jail is not for me. But if you get treated like a queen in jail, baby, lock me up. No, don't. Y'all food nasty. I don't.
Breaking news, the 2020 election case just got interesting. While the country was watching the shutdown drama, and sleeping for that matter, Donald Trump quietly pardoned more than 70 people tied to the 2020 election interference scheme. Think Rudy Giuliani, Mark Meadows, Sidney Powell, John Eastman, and all of them are facing state trials in Georgia, which this doesn't affect, but they now walk free from any federal liability. So what does that all mean? It does wipe away their federal crimes, which are the very ones that were about to come out through Jack Smith. See, remember, Donald Trump's DOJ has been trying to indict Jack Smith for investigating the 2020 plot. Smith has already said that when his case goes to trial, he won't be the only one on trial, folks. The people he investigated will also be exposed. Now, Trump clearly wants to get ahead of that bombshell. But here's the catch. Once these people are pardoned, they can't plead the Fifth about those same crimes anymore. See, the Fifth protects you from self-incrimination, but you can't self-incriminate over crimes that no longer exist. So every one of them can now be forced to testify under oath about Donald Trump's role, and it gives them immunity. Yeah, it does strip prosecutors of some leverage because now the prosecutors aren't the one that are dangling immunity deals, but it also means that Trump's allies have to talk. So in a sense, Donald Trump did the work for them. And Trump can't pardon himself. If it's been proven that he issued those pardons to cover up his own crimes, then he's got another charge, obstruction of justice. So while America slept and watched the Senate vote, Trump was busy signing away his own alibi.
And just when we thought things weren't going to get worse, overnight, Donald Trump decided to give full and unconditional pardons to 77 of his closest allies, all of which who tried to help him overturn the 2020 election results, all of which were criminally charged, all of which just received a full and unconditional pardon by President Donald Trump. These aren't just your everyday average people. They're not. They're high public profile figures like Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, Mark Meadows. They all were tied to the controversial scheme to overturn the election results. Trump's justification, he says it is correcting a grave national injustice and a step toward reconciliation.
Overnight, Donald Trump pardoned Rudy Giuliani and a whole lot of 2020 election deniers for crimes they never committed or had never been charged for, at least. See, Donald Trump pardoned Rudy Giuliani, Mark Meadows, and a whole lot of other individuals who had been investigated by the federal government for trying to help overturn the 2020 election results. And none of them had been charged with federal crimes. Some of them had been charged on state level, but the federal pardon, the presidential pardon, doesn't get rid of state level crimes and state level charges. So Donald Trump pardoned a whole bunch of people who had never been charged with a federal crime. Now, Giuliani, Powell, Eastman, Clark, Mark Meadows, they had all been named with Donald Trump in his felony charges, but those individuals, they were never charged themselves. So the only person around the 2020 election denying that had been charged with felonies and hasn't been pardoned yet is Donald Trump.
Trump just pardoned over 70 of his closest friends and political allies. And this happened quietly late at night while most of us was asleep. People like Rudy Giuliani, Mark Meadows, and Sidney Powell. He even pardoned Daryl Strawberry, you know, with the little tax invasion stuff that he had going on in the 90s. Basically, the friends that Trump pardoned tried to stop Biden from officially becoming president by messing up the votes. Even after people had already voted, they were blocking them, delaying them, and changing the vote. These pardons cleared them from any federal charges tied to the 2020 election investigations. He pardoned them and the federal charges might be gone, but the state cases can still come after them. A lot of people are asking now, why would he do this right before an election? But we all know that this is his way of saying, stick with me and I'll protect you. He's trying to protect himself and his people before more charges come out or before somebody in his circle turns on him and starts talking. Either way, this move just made things a lot messier. So why did Trump pardon them? Let me know what you think in the comments.
Just come through right quick. Listen, Donald Trump pardoned 70 of his friends. And you want to know why? Yes, the reason why he pardoned them is because they were convicted of trying to overturn the 2020 election. Yep, you heard me. They tried to overturn the 2020 election. And so they got convicted of that. Yep. 70 of them, those are his friends. He went and pardoned them. Y'all know that about a few months back, he also pardoned the 1,500 January 6th insurrectionists. Y'all know that? Y'all remember that? He pardoned them. And there has been several of them who have reoffended, did other crimes, and then went to jail, been charged again. Some of these people had criminal backgrounds, y'all, and he released these people. Yep. Go do your own research. I'm just giving you bits and pieces, and follow me for more.
While everyone's watching Democrats cave to Republicans and reopen the government for a promise, this fucking guy just pardoned his criminal friend group. While we watch the circus in Congress, Trump quietly pardoned Rudy Giuliani, Mark Meadows, John Eastman, Sidney Powell, basically anyone who helped him try to overturn the 2020 election. And these aren't minor players. These are the architects behind the fake elector scheme. The people behind the January 6th strategy memos. The ones who weaponize lies to try to keep Trump in power. And now they're all off the hook. You think it's a coincidence that this dropped today? It's not. This is classic distraction politics. Get everyone distracted by the government shutdown drama so nobody notices as Trump tries to rewrite history with a pen stroke. Trump's message is loud and clear. Loyalty to him means immunity. They know exactly what they're doing, and they think we're too tired, too distracted, and too broken to fight back. Don't give them that. Stay angry, stay loud. Because this isn't just corruption. This is rot, and it's...
So, the shutdown news. That is potentially the only thing that people are talking about today, right? Now, people are probably in two camps. This is either a necessary strategic move or it was the most tragic miscalculation on the part of the Democratic Party leadership, right? Our dear elders who run the party. Now, me, initial thoughts, I'm disappointed, right? And I know that I need to read up a little bit more, right? I want to have a thorough and well-researched opinion before I put it out there. Now, though, in today's news, we should know that the Trump administration will never waste a good chaotic moment to slip something by us. And today has to do with their disrespect of states' rights, in a way. And it all has to do with this man here.
Question before the American people is, are we doing as much as we can do? Are we as strong as we should be? Are we as strong as we must be if we're going to maintain our independence?
Specifically do with his 1916 presidential election, right? When he faced off against Richard Nixon. Hawaii was up in the air, and Richard Nixon at first had won by 141 votes, right? Now, this was open. Both sides did the same thing. They sent their electors, claimed that they are representing their candidate, and they put forward those votes when they were called to Congress, right? Turns out in this situation, when they did a recount, right? Turns out JFK had won. Now, this got brought up because of Trump's obsession with claiming that he never lost the 2020 election. And I swear, you ask him to this day, he'll say that he won.
This is a fraud on the American public. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
And he's been looking for, I guess, so many ways to basically show that there's no way that he lost. Now, the man who's given him a way to kind of save face is Ed Martin, right? He is Trump's pardon attorney. The reason why he has this job is that, in a little aside, is that the previous person who had this profession was a woman named Elizabeth Boyer. Now, she was fired because she refused to give Mel Gibson, yes, that one, his gun rights back. Why? Because Mel Gibson was convicted of domestic battery in 2011. And there's an actual statistic behind this where intimate partner violence, right? If your partner owns a gun, right, you are 5 times more likely to die, right, in that particular situation. So, you know, a reasonable idea, right? You like beating on your partner, you probably should not have a weapon. That is a dangerous outcome. So she wouldn't help out Trump's very good friend, and so she got fired. And through a series of incompetent events, Ed Martin was found to be in this position. Now, in May, he posted a tweet, because I'm always going to call it that, called "No MAGA Left Behind," because these people are eternally children with stupid catchphrases. And they've been working up to this moment where Trump was going to justify and let everyone know that there's no way he could have lost the 2020 election because no one involved in his schemes to overturn the election are actually guilty of any crimes. It's the latest pardon that Trump did, right? He pardoned 77 people who were associated with him in his quest to overturn that election. The only problem is none of these people were convicted of federal crimes, right? Which means that this pardon, which Ed Martin is celebrating, people probably are so ecstatic that these people were vindicated, doesn't do anything to the actual crimes that they committed in these individual states. And I know that they don't care about the idea of federal power versus state power, and it's like foundations within the literal beginning of America. But it's just a funny example of how, while we are actually very irritated about the series of events that occurred Sunday, they are now trying to just kind of squeak this one thing by. So just be aware, just know that no matter what, these people try these stupid games all the time, right? And I don't know if they are doing this and they criticize the pardons that Biden did, right? I don't know how they would think that these would also be legitimate, especially because they're not even like legal in the ways that they wanted them to be. I just find it funny that those who regularly state that states' rights have been violated by an overreaching federal government are now celebrating a man who is trying to use the federal government to manipulate the process within states, right? So, as always, every accusation from these people is a confession. They don't actually believe in anything that they say, right? They are corrupt, and they will twist history to justify any dumb decision that they come up with. So, as I find out more of these, I'll share them, and that's
big news that Donald Trump does not want you to know about. This MFer just pardoned 70 2020 election deniers. Here's what you need to know, what the implications are, and why it matters. On November 10th, Trump granted full, complete, unconditional pardons for 77 people, including top allies like Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, John Eastman, and Mark Meadows. They were all tied to the so-called faked electorate scheme, the alternate slate of electors in battleground state that were there to try to overturn the 2020 election. Trump described the move as a grave injustice and advancing national reconciliation. Supporters say it's about defending his allies, while critics argue that it's undermining accountability. These pardons apply to federal charges only and don't apply to state charges like in Georgia or Arizona. So the pardons for some are, in a sense, symbolic. Accountability is a huge piece in a democratic system. When high-level actors tied to election deniers are pardoned, it raises serious questions about the rule of law. It sets a precedence that if major political players can do such a thing and then get a pardon later, what's to stop them from doing it again? In my opinion, this is a dangerous normalization of election denial. Share your thoughts in the comment section and follow me for more.
Trump just pardoned over 70 of his closest friends and political allies. And this happened quietly late at night while most of us was asleep. People like Rudy Giuliani, Mark Meadows, and Sidney Powell. He even pardoned Darryl Strawberry, you know, with the little tax invasion stuff that he had going on in the 90s. Basically, the friends that Trump pardoned tried to stop Biden from officially becoming president by messing up the votes. Even after people had already voted, they were blocking them, delaying them, and changing the vote. These pardons cleared them from any federal charges tied to the 2020 election investigations. He pardoned them and the federal charges might be gone, but the state cases can still come after them. A lot of people are asking now, why would he do this right before an election? But we all know that this is his way of saying, stick with me and I'll protect you. He's trying to protect himself and his people before more charges come out or before somebody in his circle turns on him and starts talking. Either way, this move just made things a lot messier. So why did Trump pardon them? Let me know what you think in the comments.
In what was clearly the biggest abuse of pardon power in American history, Donald Trump just pardoned 77 individuals, including Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, Mark Meadows, and 74 others, all involved in the fake elector scheme in the 2020 election. Do you think the writers of the Constitution wanted the pardon power to be used in order to pardon the people who tried to help you cheat in the last election if you won?
Remember when Republicans were up in arms about Joe Biden pardoning his son? Well, Donald Trump, never one to be upstage, just pardoned 70 of his closest allies. I'm Beans. Follow me for more honest commentary on the chaos in this world and the politics behind it. Let's get into it. A lot of these pardons were issued to January 6ers, those people who stormed the Capitol and tried to overturn the election. The most notable among them, Rudy Giuliani. You know he wasn't going to let his boy sit in the hot seat for too long. But those 70 pardons pale in comparison to the 1,500 to 1,600 that he issued at the very beginning of his term. While we're used to Trump doing the most, he doesn't actually hold the title for giving the most pardons. That actually goes to Joe Biden. The difference is that President Trump's pardons are usually more personal in nature. Remember, he pardoned his son-in-law's father, right? Then he also pardoned many of the people that worked with him. And the list goes on and on. Now, here's the thing. It's been reported that Ghislaine Maxwell, the lady who not only procured but also participated in the abuse of young women and underage girls for Jeffrey Epstein, she's also preparing paperwork for clemency. Now, while Trump is claiming that he's not ready to give it to her or he hasn't looked into it, we've all heard that story before. I'm telling you, them Epstein files must be.
Hey everybody, I am running out of words to describe how damaging Trump's pardons are. He just pardoned at least 77 people who tried to overthrow the results of the 2020 election. This might be Trump's most dangerous use of the pardon power yet. I'm Liz Oyer, the former pardon attorney for the Department of Justice. Donald Trump is now actively using the pardon power to undermine our democracy. Last night, Trump's pardon attorney announced blanket pardons of everyone involved in trying to overthrow the 2020 election results. There were 77 people listed by name, including Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, John Eastman, and other Trump lawyers and loyalists. But the pardons were not limited to those named individuals. They apply to anybody who worked on overthrowing the 2020 election results. There are a few things that are truly extraordinary about this. One is that Trump appears to be claiming the power to pardon state law crimes, not just federal crimes, even though that goes directly against the Constitution. The Constitution specifically limits the president's pardon power to federal crimes, but the crimes Trump just pardoned all involve state law, not federal law. Trump is pushing the boundaries of the pardon power in a way that we have never seen before in our history. 2, Trump is sending a loud and clear message to his supporters that they have license to commit crimes in the name of Donald Trump. If you break the law on behalf of Trump, you have nothing to worry about. Trump has your back. This is incredibly dangerous and scary. 3. Trump is using pardons to erase entire chapters of our history and to demolish democratic safeguards like free and fair elections. This began on day 1 of his presidency with the January 6 pardons, and it just keeps getting worse. Behind all of this is Ed Martin, Trump's pardon attorney. Martin is a sham lawyer who organized the Stop the Steal movement. He is now working inside the Department of Justice to sabotage our democracy. His motto is "No MAGA left behind," and he's not done yet. If you haven't seen it already, please go back and watch my video on why Ed Martin is one of the most dangerous people in America. I'll be keeping a close eye on Martin and also on what happens with these pardons, and I'll keep you posted.
This is all I got from this video, and let me tell us something. There is nothing new when it comes to this administration, and I am not expecting, I won't tell you that I am surprised or not, because this has always been his way. I love what Consciously said about people that look like me, because one thing I have noticed about anything that got to do with judiciary system in the United States, the most biased, they are so biased. Very, very biased. Yeah. Some people will say, yeah, if you were my friends, I am also going to pardon them. But you could hear their offense, what they did, trying to overturn 2020 election, right? And how? Now let me tell us something. I really do not want anybody, especially white people, to say that they are pissed or this is not what they voted for, because actually, this is what you voted for. Don't give me that BS. Don't give me that bullshit that this is not what you voted for, because you voted for this. People that look like me cannot move around, cannot do anything, because, oh, why would you do all that? Why would you move around? Why would you pee? Why would you, like, for example, I am saying, Black people do not get any grace of any type, but they get all of it. Why did he release, everybody was busy talking about government shutdown and everything going on and all that, and you all went to sleep. He pardoned all of them. Why won't he pardon them? Because you and I know how much they are working so hard. They've been working overtime to make sure that people that look like me and other people do not get any pass when it comes to government. It's either you are for them or you are not for them. And even the people that look like me are part of his crew and all that, like Baron Donuts and all that. You can also see that they are keeping them by the side, because they must not know everything going on. They want to hold on to the power. And these ones he pardoned will be the ones to also help him do majority of the things that he wants to do. So I am not surprised. With this administration, expect all the anything is possible, because you know who you voted for. He is not a saint. Man, I will draw my curtain here. Bye for